until Baker Mayfield left Texas Tech and went to Oklahoma did we see his development. So how right is it going to do by Kyler to develop him the way he needs to be developed, given the amount of potential that he has?
So, great stuff. But last question for me, just overall, what is it like being a 49ers fan in LA?
See, for me, like it hasn't really changed for me, just because I grew up without the NFL in this city. You know?
Yeah.
I was 8 years old when both the Rams and Raiders left. So I grew up in a time where there was no football team, so there was no real, hey, why aren't you a fan of this? Why aren't you a fan of that? You're like, oh, okay, he's just another LA fan who happens to be a fan of another team. When the Rams moved back and when the Chargers moved up here, there wasn't really a challenge to me or a challenge for me or kind of blowback because I had been a fan for over 25 years by the time they moved back up here. So it's always been one of those things where I'm like, I mean, there are games I will go to, as you know, between the Rams and the 49ers where there's far more 49er fans than there are Rams fans. Now that's obviously turning around with their ascension to being one of the title contenders in the league, but there's enough 49er fans in this area, and I have the pride in who I am a fan of that it's not going to impact me negatively.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
All right, man. So why don't you go ahead and plug your social channels and let people know where they can find more of your 49ers content?
Well, you can follow me at Kevin A. Molina. And honestly, to me, I love when I speak to non-49er fans.
Yeah.
I speak to enough 49er fans on a daily basis that I love when I'm talking to Broncos fans, when I'm talking to Raider fans, Charger fans, fans from the Browns and the Giants. It don't matter. I love talking football, regardless of what it is. To me, I feel like I force myself to be knowledgeable about every team that I can hold my own in a conversation with that. My team's website, we're 49ers, the49ershub.com. Our podcast is Hubcast. We're getting back more into it, just given the fact that, the off season was kind of slow. There's only so much to talk about. Now we're getting into nitty gritty where actual games, there's actual performances being evaluated. Now is the time where we're like you guys, we're starting to hit the road and, starting to get that feeling of that the season is back. I mean, that crap show of a game that we all just saw right now, that was something else. But, hopefully that's the thing, props to the Bears for, presenting a great tribute to the 100 years of the league by playing offense like it was 1919.
For real.
But this Sunday, this Monday, it's going to be amazing football. Enjoy it. Anyone that wants to talk about football, I'm down to. Anytime you guys want me back on, I'd love to be back on. I love talking to you guys. You guys are awesome. For sure,
man. And if you ever want to make the drive down to the South Bay on a Thursday night, we got a spot for you in the studio. So.
Oh, for sure. That'd be great.
All right, man. Well, you have a good night and keep up the great work. We'll talk soon.
You too. Good luck to you guys.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Okay, so KB always gets mad at me because I hang up too quick, but this man is on the A mic, on the boards, and he over here reading his group chat, smiling, laughing.
Yeah,
we bringing the fourth wall down right now.
That's why. No, I was just looking at.
It's bad when Kenny doesn't even have a rebuttal. Like, he's distracted when he doesn't even have a rebuttal for my shit, dog. Like,
I was looking at all the fantastic weekends that the Good News Sports could do a tailgate live between USC and UCLA. USC Oregon's going to be great. USC Utah is coming up.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Shout out to Kevin, CSUN alum. I think
by the way, the Pac-12 championship game is in Santa Clara.
I think the crazy thing about that whole interview,
he had answers,
was like, I mean, I know 49er fans here in LA, and they're always like, you never talk 49ers. You never talk 49ers. They get real quiet. And then it's like, we have a 49ers expert on him. Right away, he's like, I'm skeptical about the season. Like,
I don't know?
We don't know. I'm a pragmatist.
Oh, you have little faith.
All right, so now we move on to the Cardinals.
Hello, caller. What is your name and where you calling from?
Hey, guys, it's Ryan, calling from sunny Phoenix, Arizona.
Ryan, man, how you doing? Welcome back, man. Good to have you back.
Definitely.
Oh, pleasure to be here, man. Just kind of wish it was already Sunday.
I know, and I wish I had some of that Hawaiian McDonald's fried rice.
I know. When you said that, I was like, I need that in my life. We're going to have that at a tailgate, and then we're going to play Frankie Beverly and Maze Before I Let Go, since Pete hates that song so much.
But all right, man. So let's get right into the content. You know, we've talked most of the NFC West, and everyone is kind of, you know, making the Cardinals an afterthought. So you, Ryan, FBC Cardinals, you know, podcast host and editor, why don't you make your case for why the Cardinals will surprise people?
And why they'll win more games than the Dolphins.
Well, first of all, you can just look at the quarterback situation. I was a big fan of them drafting Josh Rosen last year. They didn't do a very good job of building around him with the draft last year outside of Christian Kirk. Unfortunately, they decided to, you know, send him out to Miami. But when you look at what the Cardinals have done this offseason, especially on the offense, they brought in 3 different offensive linemen through free agency. To be honest, I mean, I'm looking at that starting line, and it's workable, which is already a big upgrade over what we had at the end of the last year. And, I mean, Kyler Murray.
It's a little optimistic.
Right he looks good. He looks good.
So, do you expect him to win the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I expect him to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Quite frankly, in this offense, I mean, this is the offense he was, you know, basically recruited to run in college. Cliff Kingsbury tried to get him to Texas Tech. You know, he wanted him to be running that offense there. Didn't work out there. But, I mean, this is tailor-made for someone with the accuracy that he has, the arm that he has, his mobility. I mean, people are worried that the Cardinals aren't going to be able to really block for him very well. You know, there's ways around that. I'm not sold that it's going to really work out very well as far as pass protection is concerned. But, I mean, just watching him in practice over the preseason games, you know, just seeing him, even as a rookie, just his ability to just be calm in the pocket, move around, you know, avoid sacks and just get the ball out. He's already ahead of where Josh Rosen is and, you know, was last year and is currently right now. So, I mean, he's already showing that they made a very good choice to bring him in.
All right, man. So let me ask you this. What are realistic expectations for Cliff Kingsbury in year one? Because, you know, he really hasn't had an NFL coaching gig before.
Yeah, honestly, if you had asked me before the preseason had started, I would have told you the ceiling is 8, maybe 9 wins if the defense really shows up. Now that we're about to start the actual regular season, I'm looking between 5 to 7 wins, probably on the 5 to 6 side, and that's just because there's a lot of questions on defense. That defense does not look any better than it did last year. They're switching back to the 3-4, which is great, but the problem is you lost 3 defensive linemen in, you know, basically the month of July, going into August. You lost 3 guys who would have been either starters or, you know, heavy rotation guys, and those guys are gone now. So it's just a lot of question marks on the defensive line. And that defense, I don't trust to stop the run. I don't trust to really do much. And, I mean, you don't have Patrick Peterson for 6 games. You don't have your cornerback that you signed in the free agency, and Robert Alford, he's gone for the season. So you're down your first 2 quarterbacks before the first half of the year. So that defense is the reason I don't see them winning anything more than 5 or 6 games. That offense is going to be exciting as heck to watch, and I'm excited for that. But quite frankly, I mean, it's as much as I love, you know, defenses myself, it's going to be bad.
And as far as I want to focus on that offensive, the offensive and defensive line are like night and day. Because you look at the defensive line, the edge, if you're going to include edge rushers, like, yeah, Hassan Reddick is still kind of unproven, but there's still potential there. Like, they lost Dayon Buchanan, but there's still potential. But if you look at that offensive line, what is there like? Are you really okay with DJ Humphries? Like, what? Give me some optimism from that offensive line, if any.
So when healthy, and this is the biggest caveat here, when healthy, this offensive line is an average offensive line. And that's the highest you'll hear me ever talk about that offensive line. Because at the center position, you have the veteran EQ Shipley, who is very strong at the point of attack, but he's a veteran presence. That's really what he's there for. Mason Cole, who started every single game last year, the only offensive lineman who did that, he returns, but he's going to be the backup to basically either spell Shipley in case something happens, or he's going to cover one of the guard spots. So he's good. He's someone that is definitely going to be in their plans moving forward. But he's also not very strong, play strength wise. He's not a very strong guy. So the inside of the line is a little questionable. And Justin Pugh is their best interior lineman, but he's always the guy who has been battling injuries. I think he's out for at least week 1. So that's already a big problem. Honestly, when it comes down to Humphries, I mean, it's the same thing that I started the conversation with. If healthy, he's a good tackle. There's a reason he got drafted in the first round. He's talented, but it's just a matter of him staying healthy, and that's really going to be the biggest question mark. Outside of that, I mean, the right side of the line is J.R. Sweezy, and he's slightly above average, maybe an average guard. There's a reason why Seattle wasn't really too keen on keeping him and spending that money. So it's great that you took something from Seattle, but you got to wonder exactly why they were so willing to part with him.
So let me ask you this: are there any players that mainstream media isn't talking about that the Cardinals fans are excited about, or the Cardinals organization is excited about? One, and two, specifically, what kind of storyline are you really looking forward to this upcoming year? Like, what are you really watching for?
Well, what I'm really looking forward to is just seeing the progression of what the offense is capable of.
Yeah.
I grew up, you guys talked about, I grew up in Hawaii. I watched a lot of the run and shoot offense with Gene Jones, which is very similar to what an air raid type offense of, Mike Leach, that he runs, Halmami, those type of guys. So I'm used to seeing this type of wide open offense. It's going to be interesting to really see it put on display in the NFL. I mean, the Falcons did it, 20, almost 30 years ago with Jeff George as quarterback, but that was really just a small sample size. So I want to see how that looks. I really want to see how well Terrell Suggs can do back home in Arizona. He's an Arizona guy, went to high school here, went to ASU, so he's back home. I've always been a big Ball So Hard University fan, so I want to see him, do really well. But as far as, who to get excited about, there's a rookie. He's really good from Fresno State, Keyshawn Johnson. He's a guy that I think by the end of the season is going to really be that one player you point at in the draft that's not, first, second, or even a third round pick, but someone that you say, wow, okay, he's going to be the number 2 or number 3 receiver. I mean, he has this ability to just get up and get the football. ASU fans are probably going to remember him from last year's Las Vegas Bowl, where he just torched the Sun Devils. So that's someone that I really am looking forward to. But otherwise, it just really comes down to wanting to see how the rookies perform. And I have a lot of faith that Kyler Murray is going to be the real deal. And it's something that, as far as quarterbacks have been concerned, it's just something that's been lacking in Arizona. I mean, you had Kurt Warner for a few years and you had Carson Palmer for a few years, but you've never really had a quarterback that came here as a rookie or even as a young guy and really flourished. Because to be honest, you have someone like Jake Plummer who did that towards the late 90s, but his career was really made with the Broncos. So Kyler Murray is really just that one guy that everyone's waiting, to see what he's going to do. But if everyone by the end of the season is talking about the Cardinals, there's a good chance they're going to be talking about that young receiving core.
And speaking of which, just a quick segue, because you mentioned Arizona football and we're talking about Hawaii. How'd you feel about Hawaii winning on that last second, stopping Khalil Khalil Tate at the 1 yard line like the Rams and the Titans Super Bowl. How'd that make you feel watching Hawaii pull that victory off?